Welcome everyone, and welcome to another session of the Pivotal academic discussion. We are very happy to have you joined us today. I'm going to share my screen for the introduction part. You all know us, the academic discussion. We aim to bring together scholars with a passion for arts, social sciences, and humanities to exchange research ideas in a friendly environment. And today, we have a very interesting topic to discuss. The title is "The Time Has Come." Yeah, yes, the time. The time has come. How Iranian celebrities use Instagram for digital activism during the Woman Life Freedom movement. And we have a great speaker today, Zahra Mansour, who is a Ph.D. student at the University of Kansas, working on social movements in Iran. Zahra is curious to find out how citizens can make socio-political changes in undemocratic countries like Iran. To that end, her research mainly focuses on the Islamic Revolution as an example of a successful contemporary social movement that occurred in an undemocratic climate and led to fundamental social and political changes. So, without further ado, Zahra Jan, the stage is yours, and we wait for your presentation.
Thanks a lot, Mehdi. Let me share my screen. So, all good? Okay, perfect. So, hello everyone. My name is Zahra Mansour Shariflu, and today I will present my research on the Woman Life Freedom movement. And here is a brief introduction about me. I got my bachelor in sociology at Ph.D. University, and then I got my master's in communication and leadership in the United States from Park University. I got another master's in sociology from the University of Kansas, and now I am a PhD student in sociology at the University of Kansas. As you mentioned, I'm curious to find out how Iranians and citizens can make social and political changes in undemocratic climates and countries like Iran. Here is the agenda for today's presentation. I will provide a brief introduction about the Woman Life Freedom movement, and then I will get into the theoretical frameworks, literature review, research question, methods, findings, analysis, and appreciations. So, in 1979, after the establishment of the Islamic Republic, Shia clergy took over Iran and enforced Islamic laws like compulsory hijab in the country. Based on the hijab law, any women in Iran must cover their hair and body. And upon enacting this law, elites and liberal women protested and opposed the law. So in opposition to the hijab law, some women do not obey it, and in fact, they do not follow the dress code that the IR enforces. So you can see the dress code, and you can see the way of not obeying this dress code here. In 2005, the morality police was established to combat what the Islamic Republic considers as improper hijab. And with that background being said, we'll get into our story. In September 2022, Mahsa, a 20-year-old Kurdish woman, came to Tehran with her family to visit her relatives. And there she was arrested and beaten to death by the morality police. When Mahsa was hospitalized, two journalists went to the hospital and took some photos of her, interviewed the family, and later they shared those photos online on Instagram. And within a week, the Iranian society became aware of this event. Here you can see pictures of Mahsa. So, for many Iranians, Mahsa's death was a manifestation of the Islamic Republic's oppression and a sheer example of injustice. Ignited by this injustice and exhausted by compulsory hijab, Iranians, mainly Gen Z, planned protests in major cities and announced the time and locations online on Instagram. Later, they flooded into streets and shouted Mahsa Amini and Woman Life Freedom. These series of protests that have taken place inside and outside Iran from September 2022 is known as the Woman Life Freedom Movement or the Mahsa Amini movement. As you can see, unveiling hijab and firing a scarf has been a symbol of protest during the very beginning of this movement. And at the very beginning of this movement and in response to the grassroots demand, some celebrities joined the movement and by sharing Mahsa's photo online. Later, some of them went further and organized, promoted, and participated in the rallies inside and outside Iran. Among these celebrities were Nazanin, Golshifte, Katayun, Hamed, Tumaj, and Ali. So the research question here is how these celebrities use Instagram for the digital activism during the Woman Life Freedom movement. And to answer that research question, I used celebrity capital, which is an extension of Bourdieu's field theory and the framing theory. Bourdieu approaches the notion of field as a social space in which interactions, transactions, and events take place. Individuals' position in fields rely on their volume and configuration of capital. We have four types of capital. Economic capital is assets and resources that are convertible to money, and it may be institutionalized in the form of property rights. Cultural capitals means familiarity with valued form of culture, and it is institutionalized in the form of educational qualification. Social capitals refers to networks, relationships, and connections, and may be institutionalized in the form of a title of nobility. And lastly, symbolic capitals refer to legitimate recognition, by other agents in a social field. Here you can see some examples for each capital, for economic capital, cultural capital, symbolic, and social. So now let's define who a celebrity is. Here you can see a simple definition for a celebrity. Celebrities have elevated social status. They have widespread visibility in the media, and they have the ability to influence public opinions and trends. But celebrities hold limited, if only, institutional power in society. And despite lacking institutional powers, these celebrities receive unwavering admiration from their fandoms, and therefore they enjoy some form of Weberian charisma that is attained through the building blocks of celebrities' apparatus. So then what is this apparatus? At the very top, we have celebrity, who is the source of surplus of contemporary society's charisma. By its very nature, it involves individuals with special qualities. Then there is celebrity industry, where celebrities are laborers and commodities. In this sense, celebrities receive salaries and are the final product. After that, we have media and media presence, which is essential for curating celebrities. And lastly, we have we have the public, and of course, a celebrity is valuable within a specific field if they receive recognition from others that are the public. So now let's get into the celebrity capital. Similar to, but not a subset of symbolic capital, is celebrity capital. As cultures and societies are celebritized, celebrities become essential characteristics and dynamics of them, and thus celebrity becomes a form of capital. Celebrities try to enter the political, literary, or journalistic fields using their celebrity status, respectively, as candidates, authors, editors of newspapers and magazines. So this is how celebrities use their celebrity capital. Now let's get into the second type of theory that we are using today, framing theory, which, by the way, is one of my favorite theories. So framing in general talks about meaning-making processes in which social and political actors interpret events. This meaning-making process helps social movements leaders to produce, maintain, and reproduce frames to approach adherents, mobilize bystanders, and condemn antagonists. These framing activities lead to emergence of the collective action frames. In social movements, collective active frames has three main tasks. The first one is diagnostic framing. And in diagnostic framing, we talk about identifying and defining a problem and a source of a problem. And usually this happens by implying injustice framing, meaning that we identify an event and we identify the injustice that has happened in that event. And then we try to identify the source of this problem and try to explain why this is a problem, why this is an injustice. Prognostic framing aims to articulate a solution to the problem, or at least provide a plan of action and tactics for applying the plan. So we identify the problem, we identify the source of that problem, then we need to provide an alternative. We need to provide a solution. And by that solution, we may think of like simple solution, or we may think of tactics like protests and rallies. Lastly, motivational framing. Motivational framing seeks to mobilize adherents by invoking values, emotions, and collective identities. So in motivational framing, we mostly consider chants or any form of protest, like symbolic type, that can ignite people's emotion. Here you can see the main components of diagnostic, prognostic, and motivational framing. I drew this one for my master's thesis, but I thought it would be helpful for this presentation as well. The parts that are talking about diagnostic frames, prognostic frames, and motivational frames are the focus of our discussion today. We don't talk about master frames. So now getting into the literature review. Technology-induced changes in the public sphere led to creation of digitally networked public sphere. In such a sphere, individuals can simultaneously communicate with numerous people and share information with others. The digitally networked public sphere has facilitated the formation and practice of digital activism, which means social and political activism relying on internet and within a digitally networked community. Here is a simple yet practical definition of Iranian's online social media. And I also provided some stats. So Iranian's online social media allows Iranians to share their authentic lifestyle, connect to global culture, express their opinion about social and political issues, find like-minded people, and build online networks. However, such activities may either be considered misdeed by conservatives in Iran or illegal by the Iranian government. As you can see, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok are ranked as the most popular social media in Iran, and the government banned all of them. Despite filtering and using VPNs and proxies, Iranians can access these social media platforms. Here is like simple stats about these social media platforms, and as you can see, Instagram is the most popular one. So Instagram's popularity among Iranians and its unique feature in Iranians' online social media are among the factors that have contributed to its prevalence during the woman life freedom movement. These features include, but are not limited to, the most significant Iranian online community, platform accessibility for Iranians from different demographic groups and social status, and the significant presence of Iranian celebrities on Instagram. In his research, Hajizadegan explains that in 2022, Iranian celebrities posted content related to politics, economics, and social concerns and demands, and called these type of celebrities celebrity activists. And among these celebrities were those who are picked: Nazanin, Gol, Katayun, Hamid, Tumaj, and Ali. Here you can see an Instagram post by Ali Karimi about Mahsa at the very beginning of the Woman Life Freedom movement. And you can see that it has received about 1.5 million comments and likes. Okay, once again, getting back to the research question, how these celebrities use Instagram for their digital activism during the Woman Life Freedom movement. So I use qualitative content analysis for my research, and I employed Tracy's 2017 iterative content analysis. I collected 36 Instagram posts, including photos and videos from these celebrities, and organized them alphabetically. Then I read the data and used the data's vocabulary for primary coding. During the secondary coding, I categorized primary codes and labeled them by concepts that I borrowed from the literature review and the theoretical framework. And lastly, to analyze the data, I used exemplars that are Instagram posts that that presented the codes well. They include like 4 or 5 codes. So, a brief introduction about these celebrities, and then I will talk about why I picked these celebrities. So Gul is a well-known actress who lives in France, and she advocated for the movement in the Grammy Awards. Hamid is a writer and dentist who lives in Canada. He lost his family in the Ukrainian plane that the Islamic Republic took down in 2020. He planned a series of protests and rallies that is known as The Time Has Come in Canada, that later extended to the United States, Europe, and Asia. Next is Nazanin. Nazanin Boniadi is a well-known actress in the United States. She advocated for the movement in the US by participating in the UN's meeting and meeting with politicians in the White House. Ali Karimi is a former member of Iran's national soccer team who used to live in Iran but fled the country during the Woman Life Freedom movement. Online and offline, he has advocated for the movement. And as I'm going, you can also see their followers and following and posts, which shows their popularity. So, Katayun is an actress who lives in Iran and unveiled her hijab on Instagram during the Woman Life Freedom movement. And lastly, Tumaj is a rapper who lives in Iran and participated in protests in Iran during the Woman Life Freedom movement. Last time that I presented this research, one of the participants asked me why did I pick these celebrities? And I think it is worth mentioning. I picked these celebrities because they are popular online and offline and were active during the Woman Life Freedom movement. Also, I picked these celebrities, 3 from inside Iran, 3 from outside Iran, for specific reasons. Celebrities in the diaspora risk less but have more opportunity to mobilize Iranian in the diaspora and international institutions and communities. Celebrities in Iran risk more, but they may have less capital in the international social and political fields. So to represent both sides, I decided to pick 3 celebrities who at the time lived in Iran and 3 celebrities who reside outside Iran. And here are findings of my research. So these celebrities use Instagram to influence the public's opinion, frame the protest claims, and gain political capital. Using their celebrity capital, as you can see down here, they ignited people's emotion, their followers' emotion, and they invited their followers to unite against the Islamic Republic, and they invited everyone to join and support the protests in Iran. They framed the movement's claim online by posting about Mahsa's death and holding the Islamic Republic responsible for that, promoting overthrowing the Islamic Republic as a solution to finish the compulsory hijab, and picturing a future after the Islamic Republic for Iranians. These celebrities use their celebrity capital to gain institutional power in Iran and international social and political fields. In this sense, they met international political leaders, called for action from international institutions and communities, and provided strategies for the movement and protests. Here is one example of my data. It is goal post number 6. It is a video, but I just snapped a photo of that. Goal appeared in the Coldplay's concert and sang the song which is called For Baraye by Shervin Hajipur, which became the protest anthem during the Woman Life Freedom movement. Receiving about 1 million comments, this post is a great example of igniting the followers' emotion and using the art to promote the Woman Life Freedom's aims. So here, before singing the song, Golshifte talks about the Woman Life Freedom movement and what is going on in Iran. The next one is Hamed post number 6, which is a great exemplar of using Woman Life Freedom's hashtags, inviting everyone to join and support protests in Iran, and using art to promote Woman Life Freedom's aim and providing strategies for the movement and protests. As you can see, this poster is for one of the series of rallies named The Time Has Come. Here you can see the hashtags, and reading the caption here, you can see how Hamed is providing strategies for how these protests supposed to be. And again, it has received numerous likes and comments. The last example is Katayun post number 1. In this post, using the Woman Life Freedom hashtag, she ignited their followers' emotion and reaffirms the movement's stories. Katayun shared this photo of herself unveiling her hijab and shared it on Instagram. It became a symbolic way of protest among famous women in Iran, and they continued doing so. So you can see the hashtags down the caption, and you can see about 1 million like and comments that the post received. And lastly, as I always say, this presentation is a tribute to all the beautiful young souls that were taken from the Iran during the Woman Life Freedom movement. This research is a work in progress, and so I welcome any recommendation and any tips for improving the research. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Zahra, for your excellent presentation. It was very interesting, at least to me. So we can now take questions from the audience. If you can also, Zahra, please stop sharing so we can see each other better.
Okay, sure.
So please raise your virtual hands and we can begin. Humayun is the first person.
Okay. Thank you, Zahra, for your nice presentation. Let me lower my hand. Okay, so did I hear you correctly? Because by my count, 3 times at least, you mentioned quote unquote that the celebrities provide strategies for the movement and protest. At least you mentioned that 3 times. Did I hear you correctly?
That's correct.
Okay, so could you clarify for me whether the celebrities that you pick are primarily using their networks to share news, or if they're actively shaping or guiding the social movement? So I think you're advocating for the latter, correct? Like that they are guiding the social movement or shaping it in some way or form, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so if that's the case, then how do you see this influencing Iranian society and culture in the long term? Now, the reason I'm asking this, because, you're using borders theory, and one of the, I would say the main criticism of the theory is that it potentially promotes social determinism.
Mm.
And it does so at the expense of, personal initiatives. And personally, I believe the true celebrities making any difference are within Iran, not necessarily those we have been discussing during your presentation, or you've been discussing during the presentation. And so do you think focusing on a select few celebrities that they're not in Iran, and to the extent they are in Iran, they're really making no changes, might give the impression that and giving the impression that they are actually providing strategies and and for the movement and the protest, could that be a bit unsettling? Because to me, they're just, I mean, if you tell me they're just using their network to share news, that's one thing. But it seems that you're giving them the status of a strategist, which I kind of can hardly believe. So my question, again, because I didn't want to ramble on and on, but my question is, okay, if we give these so-called strategies as you describe them, the status that you assign to them, would that be in a long-term impact the Iranian society and the culture in Iran in a negative way?
Thank you, Humayun. That's a really brilliant question. I would like to emphasize that in sociology and specifically in my research, I would try to picture what is happening and what is going on in every social movement that I study. Picturing the social movement, the elements and components using theoretical frameworks doesn't mean that it is accurate or inaccurate. I just try to provide the picture, and it is for the audience to decide whether it is a positive move that celebrities get involved in political arena and fields or not. I think by organizing rallies and by providing list of chants that should be used in rallies, I can give this credit to Hamed Esmailion that try to organize and try to provide strategies for movement outside Iran, not of course inside Iran. So could I answer your question?
Well, I still don't understand why we have to rely on a bunch of celebrities to give us any strategies, to give people any strategies for the movement or the protest. And I mean, what's their qualifications to provide strategies? Why we are elevating the status of a bunch of people who, by the way, let's not forget, up until several years ago, they've been part of this government. They were working for the government. They were advancing the values endorsed by the government. So why do we have to rely on them for strategies? And if we do so, what's left of our culture? What's going to happen to the Iranian to the society in Iran? Are we this crippled and hamstrung that certain celebrities outside Iran should give us strategies and directives on how to do the protest and the movement? This is unsettling. So again, and I understand you're coming from the standpoint of the borders theory, and borders theory is accused of undermining, a role of personal initiative. So I understand, but I'm just letting you know that would be a disgrace to the Iranian people as a whole to have their achievements attributed to certain celebrities who are really doing nothing but just sharing news, but providing strategies that's just make my head blow up. So anyway, thank you for your talk. I enjoy it. I talk too much. I let other people ask questions there.
No, I would like to add that I can agree with you about the role of celebrities in social movements. After studying the Women Like Freedom movement, that was when I decided to study the Islamic Revolution, because I realized that after the Islamic Revolution, social movements in Iran couldn't achieve their goals. And if you look at them, they mostly relied on celebrities, not just in like these celebrities, like even politicians that are like celebrity politicians, not real politicians. And so I realized that I need to study a social movement that was successful in Iran, that could make a change. And then I got back to the Islamic Revolution. And if you compare the Islamic Revolution to any social movement that has happened after that in Iran, you can see that the political and social agents in those movements, and they lack the institutional and political power to really influence the majority of Iranians. So, of course, they couldn't achieve their goals. And that is why, as we can see, the Women Life Freedom movement has yet to achieve its goals, because some celebrities from outside Iran or inside Iran, however, are pushed by the society to get involved, cannot change the political arena in Iran, because the undemocratic governments do not work like that, you know?
Okay, great. Thank you. Anusha is next.
Thank you again, Zahra, for this very great presentation, and I could say timely presentation. And so I have a couple of questions. My first question is more about the time and the time frame that you collected the data, because I'm sorry if you mentioned it and I missed it, and because I am assuming that these teams that you found probably should have changed through time. And by saying that, I want to ask my second questions, which is, did you do any time trend analysis, something to see the trends of these themes, like if these themes change through time to time in the first 2 months, in the second 2 months, and the third 2 months, if you look at something like that. And the other question that I have is, if these the three overarching themes that you found, if they you looked at if they are correlated with some events in Iran, if some events kind of raise these kind of themes to show more, like in the Instagram and social media. And my final questions, I know that I asked so many questions, and my final questions is that I saw in your slides that you had a quantitative part in this research as well, if I'm right. And what we saw and what you talked about was mostly the results of the qualitative part, if I'm right. And I wanted to ask more about the quantitative part, which I assume that there might be the next steps of this research, but what are you trying to do with this result, and what will be the next steps overall? Yeah, thank you again.
So for the last question, are you asking about the qual part or quant part?
The quant part, because I assume that your presentation was mostly about the qual part.
That's correct.
Am I right? Yeah. Yeah, so I was wondering if you could tell us what's your plan for the quantitative part. Have you done it, or what's that quant part? What's the role of that part in your research?
Okay. Thank you so much for your questions. So the first one, I collected posts that have been posted during the first year of the movement. So I don't have any data later September 2023. And you asked a really good question about whether the themes have changed during the time. So in this research, basically, I did not consider this aspect because I wanted to focus on these celebrities' activity and how they use their celebrity capital. However, if in further research, I would like to serve and study the timeline and the process of women life freedom movement, for sure I will do that. I will consider the timeline. But for this very purpose, I didn't consider that because it makes the research really comprehensive. And as you know, I have just 30 pages for my journal article, so I couldn't extend the research to that topic. And about the events and their relation to the themes, that's actually a really good idea that I guess I can add to my discussion, providing background about the events that were going on and then providing the themes. That's actually a really good suggestion. Thank you so much. And for the quant part, honestly, as I mentioned, I work on social movements in Iran, and what I realized is that after the Islamic Revolution, social movements in Iran barely could achieve their goals. So I would like, at the time when I was doing this research, I wanted to continue it to get it into the quant part. But then after conducting the research, I decided to get into the Islamic Revolution to answer my research question, my main research question in the PhD, that how we can make social and political changes in undemocratic societies like Iran, because women life freedom movement has yet to achieve its goal, and we haven't seen the final result of this movement. So I cannot, for that purpose, study this movement. So I stopped my research on women life freedom movement and then get into the Islamic Revolution.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, great. I also have a couple of questions. My first question is about choosing Instagram, although you mentioned that that was because it has the most users in Iran. But my understanding from Instagram users in Iran is that Instagram is really apolitical. And most of the users really don't care that much about politics. They're there to share fashion pictures or cooking styles or things like that. It's not really about politics. And my question is kind of a counterfactual question, that if you, for example, had done this research in X, former Twitter, do you feel that your results would have changed, or do you think that you would somehow receive the same results? And because I'm asking this, because X users are more active, more politically minded, and I'm wondering if you feel that there could have been a difference. And my second question is a more general one, not just about this research, but about the role of social media activism in political change. And do you feel that this is actually a good tool to use when you want to change something in politics? Because there is an idea of this actually worsens the situation, because it's while liking a post or by commenting under a post, you just release your energy and your anger, and then you go back to your normal life. So when you try to maybe show yourself on Instagram, on other social media platforms, and then be active there, the result is that you are inactive on the street, and therefore you don't really change anything. So how do you see this? And would you recommend using Instagram for the next maybe social movement in Iran? Thank you very much.
So let me take some notes first. And okay, thank you very much, Mehdi. So to your first question, I have done another research about the emergence of #MeToo on Twitter. And what I have received from my American audience, mainly my professors, was that Twitter and Persian Twitter, X, mainly reflects Iranian elite and is not a good reflection of the Iranian society, different demographies. So I decided to use Instagram because Instagram has like about 60 million Iranian users. With having more users, you can consider that you have people from different demographies, social statuses, and so the population is more a reflection of the Iranian community in Iran and outside Iran. Also, another thing is that I had this slide in my presentation about how Instagram became popular during the Women's Life Freedom movement. I'm with you that the Instagram used to be all about cultural stuff, maybe, if we can call it cultural, but during the Women's Life Freedom movement, it has been used for political purposes, and Meta itself has stated that this has been the case based on the activities of Iranian accounts. So I think that would be a good justification. For digital activism, actually, you are right. There are some people that support digital activism in academia and some who don't support it. So for those who do not support it, as you mentioned, they believe in digital dualism, meaning that you are one person in your Instagram account and another one in the real life. Some other researchers believe that digital activism can facilitate offline activism. And if you read the book Twitter and Tear Gas by Dr. Tofeki, it's a really good resource for that sort of view. So in undemocratic societies like Iran, of course, you cannot express your opinion about social and political events freely. You cannot go out there and put some posters about the rally, but you can use Instagram to share that information and to facilitate the formation of protests and rallies. So maybe social movements and digital activism and online social movements are not as effective as offline social movements, but they can facilitate the formation of social movements, and the research supports that. And another thing is that, and it is a very important one, I mentioned digitally networked public sphere because shaping that online network and online community can be a great step to shaping collective identity, collective aims, and collective actions. If you look at Instagram, for example, you can see by prevalence of posting about protests in Iran, photos of Mahsa, each of us could figure out who are like-minded people in our network and who are not. And it is a very personal experience, I guess, that many of us Iranians had during this movement. We could clearly see who are like-minded people and who are not. And actually, this one, the Women Like Freedom movement, made a huge step by outlining like-minded people by many of us, I guess. So this could be another advantage of online activism, shaping the very first body of that collective identity, collective aims, and collective actions. I hope I could answer your questions.
Yes, just one last question. Would you recommend using Instagram again in the next social movement in Iran?
It's a really, really complicated battleground, I guess, because it can be good because one of the main essence of framing is making a credible frame and continuing doing that. Online activism is easy to be continued. So that would help the public sphere to remember that event, to remember that movement. But also, as digital dualism mentions, it has this risk that people get involved in online activism and don't want to get into the offline activism. I would like here to mention that another aspect here is the authority and oppression in the government, which is another aspect of social movements that determine whether people participate in a movement offline or not. I personally think social online activism is a great start for shaping a social movement, for forming that, but definitely is not the best solution for continuing that, because if you look at like the Islamic Revolution, you can see that other social institutions like religion play very important roles in Iranian society rather than like Instagram, Twitter. And so using social institutions in Iran would be, of course, a better option.
Thank you. Anusha, another question?
Yes, I just wanted to go back to the themes emerged in your analysis again, and I was wondering if you could give us some examples from each of the themes. So, and if you could go more details with the sub themes that you have found, which I think I saw on your slides. Because I really want to, because I feel like that is the gist of the results that you have found. So maybe we could have a better grasp of it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure. Most of the posts are videos and reels that are like about 1 hour. So that is why I did not provide them, because like, for example, it is an interview by Nazanin Boniadi, which is about 30 minutes, and another interview by Gol Farhani, which is about an hour. That is why I didn't provide those posts, and I just stick to the photos and posters. Because unfortunately, like I hear what you're talking about, like about political capital, most of them are in these videos. And but I can share those posts with you and send them to you so that you can watch, because I guess it would be beyond this discussion. It will take us 1 hour to watch them.
Sure, yeah, thank you so much. I guess I asked this question because I'm not super familiar with Instagram. I was just thinking about Twitter, and I thought that there could be some tweet, but yeah, for sure in Instagram, yeah, it's a very
that's the main problem. And for analyzing that, I had to watch 1 hour video of one of the speeches of, for example, Hamed for like 10 times, 10 hours just watching to like code this stuff. So
And then you coded one video with different codes, for example, and then these three themes is the themes that you saw the most.
That's correct. So for qualitative content analysis, you can use Atlas TI, and on Atlas TI, you can put videos, photos, audios, and then code them there. So coding different contents using Atlas TI is way easier than like manual coding. So that is why I use Atlas TI. And because this research is still in progress, so I didn't really talked about the Atlas TI and how I'm using that because I'm still working on that aspect.
Okay, great, thanks.
Sure.
And about the sub themes, could you please just if it's okay, just go through them again and maybe just explain them more because I don't have them in my mind right now.
Sure, let me
Thanks so much.
My screen. Sure. So here are primary codes, secondary codes, and then themes at the very top of each column. And for celebrity capital, I used how the celebrities ignited their followers' emotion. And by igniting emotion, I showed the post of Golshifte, like talking about the injustice that has happened is one of the greatest components that social and political actors can use for igniting their followers' emotion. Inviting the followers to unite against the Islamic Republic. This one can be found in their speeches, in their hashtags, and inviting everyone to join and support protests in Iran internationally and online, again, using hashtags, talking about it. Like I remember that in Hamed's speech, he was asking the international community to take action and to condemn the Islamic Republic because of its action after the Islamic Revolution, because of Mahsa's death, because of the woman life freedom movements, because of those who have been murdered during the woman life freedom movements. And so I coded this one as like inviting everyone to join, and also again the posters that Hamed made and the time has come itself. It wasn't just an invitation to Iranians. The rallies invited everyone, like around the United States, Europe, Asia, everywhere that they are, to participate in the movements. However, the main audience were Iranians. For digitally network public sphere, sharing the latest news about the woman life freedom movement. They usually, specifically Nazanin Boniadi, she does that a lot. She reposts posts from famous Instagram accounts, from politicians' accounts, and from news agency accounts to spread the news and story about Iran. And she has been doing that from the very beginning of the woman life freedom movement. And using the hashtags, one of the greatest components to reach your like-minded people online is using hashtags, because clicking on that hashtag would get you into the tons of posts that shared the same hashtag, and probably have the same topic. However, hashtags can be misleading as well. So for diagnostic framing, which was about identifying problems and the source of problems, and they try to reaffirm the movement's stories and repertoire. So in this vein, they, as I mentioned before, they try to explain what has happened to Mahsa, why women are unveiling their hijab, and what is going on in Iran, and the stories that are going on during the movement. And they condemned the Islamic Republic as the source of the problem. The problem, of course, was compulsory hijab. The source of problem was the government. And blaming a source for injustice and for a problem is the very body of diagnostic framing. For prognostic framing, providing a solution, strategies, and tactics, they used art to promote woman life freedom's aim. And in this way, by these aims, I mean mainly the solutions that the movement provided, like annulling the compulsory hijab in Iran, or changing the government so that they can change the Islamic laws, like the compulsory hijab. And another solution that they provided was like picturing a future after or without the Islamic Republic, as I mentioned. For motivational framing, it is mainly discusses how social and political actors try to ignite their audience emotions and emotionally get them involved so that they can participate, and they will participate in a social movement. So participating in protests and rallies was one of them, and this one was mainly related to Hamed and Tumaj, both of them in Iran and outside Iran. They not only promoted the woman life freedom movement, but participated in the protest and took picture of themselves and videos of themselves like participating.
Zahra, I think you get disconnected for the last sentence. Can you repeat the last sentence, please?
Sure. So they participated in the movement, and they took photos, they recorded videos and shared on Instagram that they are participating in protests and rallies. And this one was specifically about Nazanin, Hamed, and Tumaj, who did that, and spreading hope in the success of the woman life freedom was a thing that mainly most of these celebrities were doing. They just posting about like keep going, like we can gain our goals. Like this one mainly emerged in their interviews and speeches, not their posts. And again, igniting Iranians' emotion, that is the very body of motivational framing. So as I mentioned before, in the framing and in the motivational framing, highlighting that injustice is something that ignites the audience emotion. So highlighting what has happened to Mahsa, what has happened to those who have been murdered, were the main component of this code. So about providing strategies for movement, as I mentioned, one of them was about Hamed Esmailion, who organized The Time Has Come, and who provided like a list of chants, plans of action to what to do during these rallies, what to say during these rallies, what is the main aim of these rallies. And the other one was related to Nazanin Boniadi and Golshift Farhani and Ali Karimi having meetings with political actors in Europe, in the United States, and the UN, and talking about what is going on in Iran. So as celebrities, it is not really part of their celebrity capital to go to political meetings, participate like at the UN meetings. It is not part of a celebrity capital. It is more of converting that celebrity capital into political capital because it is happening in the political field. And let me again, calling for action from the international institutions and community to support women life freedom. This one was specifically visible in Nazanin Boniadi's post and Hamed Esmailiun's post. They continuously asked international institutions and communities to support women life freedom movement, like the UN, the Canadian government, the American government. These are examples. And as I mentioned again, meeting with politicians and participating in political events. Political events, I mean mainly political meetings. I do not consider like rallies that they organize themselves as like political events. Maybe they are socio-political events.
Okay, thank you very much. If there is no other question, we can finish this session. Thank you again, Zahrajan, for this very interesting presentation, and we hope that you successfully defend your thesis at the end.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for wonderful questions, everyone.
Okay, have a good rest of your day.
You too.